champion, Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Oh man, I tell you that don't get. I tell you that don't get no better than that. I love that
you
intro.
miss it. You
Love
miss
that
it,
intro.
don't you?
Oh, I get shivers, man, when I hear it. And then as soon as it's over, the shivers are over, and I said, oh man, whew. I'm not getting no flashbacks for me. Anyhow, hello everybody. Welcome to another round of Ray's Boom Boom Room. I'm your host Ray Mancini here with my ace corner man, cut man, Mike Case.
We're in the house.
And today we got a very special guest on, and I'm going to get to him in a minute. But before we get to our guest, I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, you see the fight this weekend? I was on the Zone streaming service. Triple G was back in action.
I saw that he was fighting.
Action, and he fought another Russian, I think Ukrainian also. I can't say the name.
That's a
Sergey
long name.
Derevchenko.
Right.
How's that?
Doesn't it
I
start
can't-
with a K or something? Isn't
No,
it?
a D. D.
like
Ends in it. Sounds like
25 letters long?
Yeah, a lot of consonants together. That's all I know.
Right.
And yeah, very good fight. Excellent fight. It was a 12-round war. It really was a
Are
good
you a
fight.
Triple G guy? You like
Triple G. I love Triple G. But you know what? It seems like I'm not a fan of. I can't say I'm not a fan of Canelo. Canelo's a hell of a fighter. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't beat Triple G the first time. I didn't think he beat him the second time. First one was no dispute. Second one was a little closer, but I still thought Triple G won. But they keep freezing out Triple G, trying to get him older. And every time I see him, he looks a bit older. And our next guest, we'll talk to him about that. Anytime a fighter, is not fighting as regularly as he once was, and his age is going up, he's getting older. Fighters are supposed to be young men. It's a young man's sport. But because of today's world of getting paid such big numbers, they can fight once or twice a year. Yeah. It doesn't do anything for legacy, but it does good for your pocket and longevity.
They want to fight longer.
Right.
The bigger the paycheck,
I don't know
the more
why
they
anybody
want
want to get smacked in the head at 40 or 37 years old. But anyhow. But the fight was a close fight. Triple G won. Now, he's what I like about Triple G is he ain't waiting for one person. If he waited for Canelo, the third fight should have been right after. If Canelo's people were smart, that was the biggest fight he could have had. He came right back. Instead, he fought the ferocious Rocky Fielding. The ferocious.
Is that his name?
Rocky.
Or are you
no, that's
calling
what I
him
put him at. I even asked people in England, "Who's Rocky Fielding?" They go, "We don't even know."
Oh, okay.
That's true. That's a true story. Anyhow, but Triple G's still waiting. But he signed with the Zone, so he thought he'd get that third fight with Triple G. With Canelo. Canelo now is going to move up, which we're going to talk to our next guest also about, which I think is a stupid-ass move. Not one weight class, two weight class. The fight a guy named Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev can punch like a son of a gun, and he just got off beating a hell of a fighter in Yarde. I forgot Yarde's first name, so it's a Spanish guy, Yarde. But he beat Yarde and beat him well with that jackhammer jab, and Canelo couldn't get out of the way of Triple G's jab. I don't know how he thinks he's going to get away from this guy's jab. That makes no sense to me, and I'm going to talk to our next guest about that.
Okay.
But anyhow, go ahead.
No, that's why I wanted to say, okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I guess, as they say, no further ado, I'm going to our next guest is a good friend of mine. He is a Chicago native. He was a former fighter. He's a promoter. He's a boxing promoter and promoter extraordinaire. My man knows how to put on fights. Our next guest puts on kick-ass fights. He understands that you got to give the public the best fights possible, action-packed fights, evenly matched guys that put on a good show. And but he's also he was a restaurateur. He's a nightclub impresario.
Wow.
Oh man, he's a man of many distinctions. And we caught him today while he was driving. As Mike said, "What kind of car you drive?" He's driving his Mercedes
Driving
to
the
the
Benzie.
bank.
Yeah.
But you think
To the
he's
bank.
You think
Where
he's
else would you take
you think he's a piker? This guy's the real deal.
I didn't know. I wasn't
He's a
sure.
real deal. All right. Without any further ado, and this is his name, folks. This is his real name. He was a fighter, but this is my good friend Bobby Hitz.
Hey, Bobby.
Bobby.
Hey guys, how are you?
How was that
What
intro?
An introduction.
How was
you
that
forgot
intro?
about my acting too. I'm a SAG actor also.
He's a SAG actor. Oh
wow.
shit, man.
There you go.
SAG actor.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been
Bobby
in
does it all.
big roles.
Bobby.
I had a reoccurring role. The biggest role I had was a reoccurring role on a series that was on Fox television called Mob Doctor with William Forsythe.
No kidding.
Mob-
He was,
Mob
yeah,
Dog.
William Forsythe was the boss, and I was his right-hand man, and that was my biggest role to date. I've been in the business since the late '80s, early '90s, and I've been on Untouchables and things of that nature. A lot of stuff filmed the early edition.
All the shows that are shot in Chicago, Bailey, right?
Yeah, I've been in a bunch. I was just actually on a show called South Side, which was on Comedy Central, and that was a real fun show to shoot. So, and I just auditioned for something called Fargo that's being shot here in Chicago.
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
episodes.
Fargo. They're doing the series. It's an FX series.
Yeah.
Fargo.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so,
Fox FX.
yeah, so,
Have you been trained as an actor, or were you just that good in the
Yeah.
first place? Or
well, I literally got a lot of stuff on my own early on.
Right, because they know
And-
Bobby's a character. He's a good. I mean,
And
not
that-
in a good way. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
And then I got advice from two great actors,
Right.
both polar opposite ends of the spectrum as far as the advice goes. It was Michael Madsen and William Forsythe. So when I'm on the show, Michael was on the show with us, and Michael's like, "Man, you're real good, whatever." I said, "Well, do you think I should continue and go?" He goes, "No. You're a natural." He said, "You're a character actor. You're a natural.
Right.
You have some method acting in you." He said, "You're good. Just be you." And then same question posed to William, and a lot of people don't know, but William Forsythe is a very
Well-trained actor.
well trained.
Oh, yes, I
Oh
know.
my God, Shakespeare and Somerset.
Right.
This guy is.
Right.
And he said, "Bobby, when you were fighting, what did you do?" I said, "I went to the gym every day." He
Right.
said, "Same thing applies to this craft. You got to hone your craft." So I have a guy, Kurt Nabig, who is my acting coach, and I meet with him once a week. We do privates, and I just kind of
Right.
work through some stuff, work through some scenes, and just kind of stay sharp. So the auditioning process has become very easy for me.
Yeah.
I've been hearing no a lot, but the process is easy.
Why not? But,
Oh.
yeah. You ain't. Bob, I told you. I've look. Many times, Dave Mamet, who's a dear friend, who's a Chicago native, as you know.
Yeah.
He's my Shakespeare. He's America's greatest writer. There's no dispute for me. And Dave will tell you he studied acting because he wanted to know how, when he writes, when he's writing for actors, he wants to know what the process, what actors are thinking. And Dave will tell you he studied that, but he said the so-called method is all bullshit. And I laughed because I studied the method, and I studied the Stanislavski method. But I understand what he means. That's why I don't agree with Dave with everything he says. And he studied the Meisner method. Now, if there was for any young actors coming out, I would, like my son studies the Meisner method. It's the most practical for everyday people. And if somebody says, "I want to be an actor," what should I study? Study the Meisner method. It's just for everyday. It's most. I
which
think
is what? I don't even get what a method is.
Method. There's different. Back in the early, in the 1930s, 1940s, they started the Actors Group, which was Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, Elia Kazan, John Garfield, Lee Jacob. All the great actors started out there, and they all, and they started the Stanislavski method. Stanislavski from Russia came here, turn of the century, and created this method of acting, very internal, and so the method is, and there's two forms of that, and I'll tell you in a minute. And then Boleslavsky was his protege, and so Boleslavsky wrote a book on the Stanislavski method, and that's the book most people study. They can tell you, if acting teachers will tell you, get the book about the Stanislavski method by Richard Boleslavsky, and it's basically is the method is this: you internalize
Bullshitsky.
You internalize. Yeah.
You were taking
internalize.
a way to transform yourself into the character?
But see, guys like De Niro, Pacino, Rourke, people like that, yes, they become the characters, but they internalize and everything. Then there's others like Stella Adler and Lee Strasberg were two of the original members of the Actors Group. But they started teaching in New York, and they became two most famous teachers. But they had two different forms of the method. Strasberg felt that everything is internal, is mental. The mental works over the physical. Once you mentally become the character, the physical will shape itself into that character. Stella Adler believed the opposite. She believed that once you get the physicality of the character, then once you have the physicality, then you'll have the mental
It will
aspect of it.
follow. Yeah.
Where
do you shake out, Bobby?
Bobby could just call it bullshit.
Apparently, you don't go for that method, huh?
To me, it just comes down to really, the way they teach you is to put yourself in the position of whatever that's like. How would you react if you were running into a house burning with 3 kids in there? Don't try to act as if you were this act like I'm a fireman. Act being Bobby Hitz as a fireman. How would I react to that? And that's but a lot of times in these auditions and whatnot, it just comes down to purely your look. They have a look in their mind.
Exactly.
What they want to have. I was on a show with Christian Slater called Mind Games,
right?
And in this episode, they had me audition for the part of a boxing coach. So I went in there, and it was a pretty extensive part, and I killed it. I killed the audition. The casting agent, who she walked me out of the room because the director got up, shook my hand, goes, "Man, that was great," whatever. And she walked me out. She goes, "I've been casting with him for the last 2 weeks. He hasn't said 2 words to anybody." She said, "You did a great job. You'll be hearing from me." So a half hour later, I get a call. They say, "Are you still in the neighborhood?" I said, "Yeah. Can you come back?" They had me come back and read for a different line. The guy who actually ended up getting my role that I had originally auditioned for was the man who was the football coach in the movie Rudy, not Charles Dutton, but a 7-year-old Afro-American gentleman. So it's like, and I'm a 50-something-year-old, Caucasian. So it just goes to show you, they don't know till they know, So, here I auditioned for a part that goes to this guy, and they give me a different role in the show. And that's happened to me a couple times where I've auditioned for a role, and then they gave me a different role on the same episode. So, it comes down to look.
But here's the bottom line, and this is what I've done. All the method, when I studied the Stanislavski method, but when I'd go and audition, all basically you pertain things to your life, personalize everything. That's all it is. And that's what I did. But see, I realized going to class, people go, "Oh, did it teach you to act?" I said, "No, it didn't teach me to act. I knew how to act. All it taught me is that my instincts were correct. I'm a kid from the streets. Bobby, you're a street guy. You follow the streets." But that's what I'm saying. If I'm in the street and things that, and a couple of things I've done, I got, there was a couple of emotional scenes, and they go, "Oh man, that was great. That was great." And they go, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, I lived that." I didn't have to dream of it. I didn't have to create anything. I lived that. So that's the bottom.
And I think that's part of being.
That's who it is. Being a character. That's being an actor. Yeah.
But being an actor who has some age on him too. Like I remember when I was in class and I had all these 20-something-year-old kids, and we're doing lines and doing scenes, and I got the scene of a father who discovered his son was strung out on dope. Well, I have a son, but he's not on dope. But I put myself in that position.
Of course.
If I discovered that my son was like how, and so it gave me a leg up because I had the experience of
having
being a father and having a child.
Right.
These 20-year-old kids, they cannot even imagine what it's like to have a child.
No.
So in scene study, I would kill it because, I had experience being a thug, being this, being that. I had all these experiences. So
all the guys.
It was easy for me.
That is.
Right.
Well, what's harder, and you can answer this too, Ray, what's harder, the project itself or the audition? And when you're doing the audition, do you have to do what you think the director wants to hear, or do you want to do how you want to do it?
Well, first let me answer.
You know what I'm saying?
Then I'll let Bobby answer it. Here's the first thing. First of all, once you get the gig, it's easy.
Right.
It's like anything. When you're going for a job interview, once you're Mike, you're an announcer. You go for a job. There's a job at one of the stations. You get the job. Once you go in and you want to sell yourself. Once you get the job, then you're you. That's it. So it's the same thing in acting. Once you get the gig, it's easy. Then you make the character your own.
But are you trying to do what the director wants?
Well, no. I'm trying to bring my spin to it.
Okay.
No,
okay.
I want to bring. You'll give you direction, but they want to see your spin. So they want to see your audition. Audition is what you think the character is. So you put yourself inside the character. Then they say, hey, wait a minute, okay, try it this way. I like that, but try it this way. I always try to find something different because if I know if it's a guy from the street, it's a boxer, 10 guys are going to play this boxer the same way. Try to do something different they ain't seen. I try to do something different they ain't seen.
What do you think, Bob?
Well, like case in point, this last role I have on this show on Comedy Central, I had auditioned and gotten the part of a gangster. Go figure.
Figure, right.
So yeah, so literally, we're shooting on Friday. Thursday night about 11 o'clock, I get an email from my agent saying, "Listen, they changed your role. Here's the sides. Here's who you're going to be." And so I'm reading it now. I know nothing about the show. I don't know anything about the character. I got the gangster down. So now I have to learn how to be this guy who comes from RTO Corporate, which is this rent-to-own center, which the show is based out of on the south side of Chicago, that these brothers have together. And there's all kinds of hijinks that go on within this rent-a-center. You know what I mean? Right. So I'm like, oh, geez, I'm not even feeling this guy. So now I read the part. I kind of got it down, to a degree. Now we're shooting at like 9 a.m, so I only have a few hours really to learn who this guy is. And I'm struggling a little bit. So now I get there, go to wardrobe, and they give me like a baggy shirt with a funky looking tie and a trench coat. So now I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. This is Peter Falk as Columbo trying to be Paul Blart as Mall Cop. So I had my shirt real loose looking. I have this short trench coat on. My tie is like halfway, I look like Laurel and Hardy with the short tie. You know what I mean?
Disheveled.
And but I think I'm like real cool. You know what I mean? So and they literally just said, just improvise, man, just go, because they knew I didn't know the lines, and it was one of the most fun acting experience I ever had in my life, because it was just like, just flow, say this, work off of each other, and some of the lines we improvised. It was just a good time. So and it came off really well. So that was one of the situations to where I had no idea, and I had to kind of wing it. But you pick up who the guy is just by clothing and situational and things like that. So you have to kind of be good on the fly too.
Well, now see, Bobby, you threw me off. You threw me off with your with the acting style. I was going to go from the beginning, being a fighter. We're going down memory, but then we're going to come back. So let me start with that. Now let's go back to that.
All right.
You were born in Chicago. You born on what part of town in Chicago? What part of town?
The best side, the west side, man.
Oh, well, you know what we say from I'm from the south side of Youngstown. You know what we say, if you ain't from the south side, you from the outside.
Yeah, right. You're right. That's from the west side, man.
But Chicago, born and bred. Now, Bobby, when did you start boxing? What brought you into boxing? I should say that. How'd that come about?
Literally, what brought me into boxing were guys like you. From Muhammad Ali up to you to. I mean, I used to love watching you fight. I revered you.
Thank you.
And I'm totally serious. Like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And it's like those were the best eras of boxing. I always liked Jake LaMotta. I liked the throwback guys. Right. But boxing was something that I always just enjoyed. I remember beating up a kid in Catholic school because we were in second grade talking about the Ali Frazier fight and stuff like that. Like, so boxing was something that I always liked. And I think I was probably I got boxing gloves for Christmas one year, like, I don't know, sixth grade or something. So I ended up beating up my brother and making my sister spar with me and, still never going to a gym, but always liking it. Literally, sitting in front of that television, like every fight, CBS, NBC, and ABC, watching those fights. Then when there was nothing on, I'd go to the Spanish station, Channel 44, and I would watch, the Spanish fights, and got to see like Carlos Durante and all these kinds of guys.
Right.
And it was just like, I just loved boxing. I just loved it. And then my uncle, about sophomore year in high school, my uncle was a hard guy, I guess.
Yeah.
And he'd have the card games, and we'd be going out. and I'd go to the house to pick up my cousin Dino,
Right.
and we would walk in and come down the stairs, and he'd go, "Ladies and gentlemen, the next heavyweight champion of the world, Bobby Hitz," and all the guys would cheer, and I kept thinking, like I got to do this. All of a sudden, a gym opened up right behind my house. The mayor of our town we had moved to the burbs, opened up a boxing gym, and then I just started going, and I never looked back.
Oh man.
And then I was in '83. I was a Golden Glove super heavyweight champion
Of
only had
Chicago.
three-
Of Chicago.
Yeah, and I only had 3 amateur fights, and I turned pro in '85. So
Oh, you only had three amateur fights.
yeah, and then I turned pro. So it literally how that happened was, I'm running, doing my road work, and I used to run by this barber shop every day. Run by the barber shop, and the barber El Sabatino comes out. And he says, "Hey kid, come here." I said, "Yeah, what's up, sir?" He said, "I see you running every day. What are you running for?" I said, "I'm a fighter." He goes, "Do you have a manager?" I go, "No." He goes, "I'll be your manager." I go, "Okay, I'll come and see you tomorrow." So it was like, and so that's what happened. And then when I turned pro, I had the backing of some pretty interesting fellas.
Is that a nice way of saying it?
Yeah, well, in the movie Casino, the Joe Pesci character
Right.
was actually patterned after a Chicago guy. So
Yeah.
his brother himself, they were backing me. And this guy at the
Both
time
of them.
was running Las Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah, both
yeah,
of them.
was running.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there's 3 brothers.
Right.
So 4 brothers. No, 5 brothers. But the one brother, Vic, took me to a guy. So it was this whole big involvement. And I remember my pro debut, the commissioner comes to me. He says, "Hey, Hitz, come here. Let me talk to you." He goes, "What are you doing with these fellas?" He goes, "They're all here. They're all packing." He goes, "I told them to put their guns in the office." I go, "Listen, Commissioner, I don't know anything about that. I said, I'm just here to fight, man. I don't know anything about that." But it was almost like, it was kind of a interesting dynamic once I think about it now. Back then, it was just kind of normal to me,
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
a year or so later, unfortunately, the one fella met his demise, and we just moved on from there. And so I ended up, some other guys had my contract. I had to buy myself out, and that just became on-the-job training for
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean?
Who's your trainer?
Here in Chicago, it was Pat LaCasa,
Pat LaCasa.
the LaCasa brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. And we trained in Sheridan Park, which off of Taylor Street, which is an Italian neighborhood there. And his brother Jimmy started me. Then Patty and Primo took me over once I was like 3 fights into my career. And then I had a series of fights. I lost. And then I had a few more fights. And then one night I'm in a nightclub, and I'm boogalooing with some chick, having a great time. And I go to check my messages, and it's my trainer leaving me a message. Because back then there were no cell phones or pagers.
Right.
Maybe a pager. And it was like, "Meet me at Midway tomorrow. We're fighting Foreman." And I'm like, I looked at my pocket. I saw some lint and some dust, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm in." And I was supposed to fight him 3 other times.
Oh, no kid.
And every time I was in great shape, they'd push me out and put someone else in. And so, I would say that probably the story of my career was just not having experience. So every day out was experience for me. So literally, the more I kept winning, the more serious it became. And when I got that first loss, I think I had like 8 or 10 fights. Maybe I lost, and I was like, almost like I was relieved. I'm like, shit. Now okay, I learned that was lesson number 1 because I only had 3 amateur fights.
Right,
So
right.
I knew I was going to have to take 4 losses maybe to kind of figure out what I'm doing. But after that loss, Joe Frazier was there, and he came into my dressing room, and he kicked everybody out. And he put his arm, he hugged me, and he was talking in my ear saying, "Listen, kid," he said, "you fought a great fight. You're tough. You got balls." He said, "You got what it takes to be a good fighter." He said, "Learn, learn what you're doing." And he goes, "I lost the heavyweight championship of the world." He goes, "And I came back and I had a great career." He goes, "You can have a great career. Don't give up." He gave me these words of encouragement, which is like, I mean, if you think about it, it's smoking Joe Frazier.
Smoke, yeah,
my
man.
God. And then after I fought George Foreman, I'm sitting with Archie Moore. Archie fucking Moore.
Yeah.
And George,
Yeah.
we went and had dinner afterwards. And it's like, like, my God, I got to have such great experiences through boxing. I mean, Emmanuel Stewart, I was around him, and he's actually the one that got me into promoting, because after I fought George, I stayed in Detroit, and Jackie Callan, who went on to have some great success with James Toney and a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I was her first fighter.
Oh,
So,
I didn't realize Jackie handled you.
Yeah, I was her first fighter.
I didn't
I
realize.
got her into managing fighters.
Oh man,
So-
no shit.
Yeah, so then I was hurt one time, and James was on the rise, and my job on the team was to pick all of James's fights, and I would research and do all these things. Say, this guy's good, this guy's good. And James had like 24 fights in 28 months, and so I was involved in all that. So literally, Detroit and the Detroit experience gave me my Harvard education in boxing, from the fight aspect to the business aspect. And one day we're in Atlantic City. I can remember I'm standing on the stage watching Nigel Benn fight Doug DeWitt in a
Doug DeWitt.
one of the best wars I ever saw in my life.
Right.
And Emmanuel standing next to me. He said, Bobby, let me talk to you. Emmanuel talked. He said,
Yeah.
he goes, I've been watching you. He says, you got a good knack for this business. He said, you when you're done fighting, you need to stay in the business. He says, I would love you to come and study under me, be one of my understudy trainers, or you should be a promoter. He said, we need guys like you. And Emmanuel kind of gave me that idea once I was done to go into the business of becoming a promoter. So I had come back to Chicago, and I took like a year off, not knowing what I was going to do. So I decided I was going to make a comeback. While I was in the gym making my comeback, all the guys had no fights. And my trainer, Pat, said to me, Bobby, these guys aren't fighting. He says, you were up there, you learned a lot. Why don't you be a promoter? I said, it came back, the Emmanuel Stewart conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I could do this. And I went and I did it because I learned a lot how to promote fights being in Detroit with garnering sponsorships. So then I went out and 28 years later, I'm still doing it. I'm not liking it as much, but I'm still doing it.
Well, I tell you, Bob, and I tell people this: you are one of the best promoters anywhere, because you do. You remind me a little bit of, in the sense, Don Shargren was known as War of a Week Shargren, right? Don Shargren from in California. He was known as War of the Week Shargren, because he always put on great fights. He put on wars. Some fights he just put up, but I'm not saying you do. But I'd say you match your guys evenly, which is the case. Which is the most important job of a promoter, to have evenly matched fights. That's it.
So they're just looking promoters.
Am I wrong? Because I think it's got to be entertaining too. Entertaining fights.
Here when you're doing local boxing, and the problem is now, the one thing that has wrecked boxing has been the internet, social media. No. It's horrible for the sport, because back when I was fighting, when you were fighting, Ray, we had no intel on the guys we were fighting. You got to look at the record. You knew how he did against this guy, that guy.
Right.
Okay, I'm taking the fight.
Right.
These guys, I literally had a kid who was managed by his mother, if you could believe this, say to me, she wasn't going to take a fight. And I said, why aren't you going to take the fight? And this is about the 8th guy I had offered them. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
8 guys, and they still couldn't find someone suitable. Well, they turned this guy down. She says to me, did you hear his interview? Did you hear how he talked? I go, this isn't a debate. It's a fight. What are you talking about, his interview? But this is the epidemic that is happening nowadays. You got guys back in our time and before that, the only way you got any publicity at all is if you earned it.
That's right.
If you were fighting someone good, if you beat somebody good, if you were taking a major step up, that's the only time you ever got any publicity. Now you have instant superstars, all self-designed,
self-proclaimed,
on
right?
The internet.
Well,
right.
now
Look at how many likes I have. Look at how many likes I have. What does that mean?
Bobby,
How many right hands can you throw?
What did the woman? What was the interview? What did the guy say in the interview that the woman said, "Oh, we're not fighting him"?
Well, who knows? What could he have said? I don't care what somebody says.
Right.
He's saying it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I got you.
I mean, it's like, what could possibly the guy have said?
Right.
But that's the dilemma of the modern day promoter. And then you have these guys who are so-called managers, who don't know a thing about boxing, and it's just like,
No,
you know, I'm at my wits end. I'm at my wits end with modern day boxing. I'll be honest with you.
I agree with you, Bobby. I agree with you. You know, I tried promoting a couple fights back in the '90s, right? And I didn't.
Right.
I didn't have fun with it. I said, "That's it." I stopped doing it because if it wasn't fun, why am I? I'm for the fight. I'm a lover of fighters, and then I got the managers trying to bang me for $10 for you know, because they you know. Get gas money. You give them gas money, obviously, but they're trying to bang you for every little thing. You know, $10 here, $10
Hey, Ray,
there.
Ray, you know Tony Spavone? You know Tony.
Oh
Spavone.
yeah.
He's right next to going to the bank. He just got out of his
Oh,
car.
Tony Spavone. This guy. Tony is a restaurateur.
There's a guy named
and he
Tony
sings opera.
Spumoni?
And he sings opera. Tony Spavone. Not
Oh,
Spumoni.
okay.
Spavone.
Wow.
Ray, there's a great picture of you hanging up in his restaurant. too.
Tony's a great
You
guy.
look- You look so handsome.
Back in the day. Well, you know, now I got a face for radio, so here we are.
Yeah. But
So
the fight game, the way I look at it now is like I have a bunch of local guys,
Right.
and I literally make fights now where, not that I don't care, but to me I make fights that if the local guy loses, I feel that it's better for the business because it shows that I'm not protecting.
That's what I was
anybody.
going to say. That's right.
And I just had one of my superstars. He just got beat on my last show for the WBC Continental Americas title. And to me, it's like, okay, now we have to go back and rebuild.
Right.
Nobody could say that this kid took the easy road. And that's how you build a better fighter. If the guy really wants to fight, now we're going to see what he's made of. But to me, you know, I try to make good competitive fights. I get these guys now, oh, no, we're friends. I said, you're friends? Yeah, you know, I go, what's his mother's name? When's the last time you were at her house for Sunday dinner? Well, never. Then you're not friends. You know the guy. We trained the same gym. I want the fighter that says, I want to be the best middleweight in Chicago. I want to be the best lightweight. I don't care who it is. But all these guys nowadays, oh, we're all buddies. And they get in the spar and they'll say, hey, let's not go hard. It's such a choreographed world now. It's just crazy.
You know, and Bobby, it's funny you said that. You know, well, one thing I always said, you know what to me is a great fight? I said what I love is when you got a guy who's 2-11 fighting a guy 3-13, because neither guy can fight a lick, but together they make a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight.
But also too, you look at these guys that have some losses, and that's the problem now. Even with these commissions, to me, you have to look at the production of what they've done. I can show you guys that have 10, 12 losses that'll beat most undefeated guys if given the opportunity because they have been a road warrior. They've had nobody handle them. They've had, you know, no direction. They're taking fights short notice. They're losing decisions in guys' hometowns. You know,
should have won.
There's a heavyweight that I deal with. This kid is like 24 and 48 or something like that. But this kid can really fight, and it's like given the opportunity, he will beat anybody. And I literally I've had guys say no to fighting him. That's how good he is with that bad record.
But Bob, you know as well as I always tell people, the guys who wound up coming out, some guys winning a world title, but they were road warriors. They were road warriors early on because they were put in against all the dogs, all the iron, man. They were put in against all the iron as the underdog, and eventually figured out a way to win. Got Harold Brazier, Freddie Pendleton. Freddie Pendleton. Want to be like
absolutely.
Mickey Ward.
Oh yeah.
His mom threw him against everybody until then he started whipping guys' asses. He had no business beating. They didn't think he could win.
Sure.
So
most of the guys that you fought would be world champions today in this era. Would be world champions. The guys that you fought.
Some of these guys can, and you just say, man, that's a headache for anybody. Some of these guys, you just got to have the right type of manager, promoter who's going to build you as you're trying to do. But at some point, like you said, you got to turn the guy loose and make him fight somebody. Because the people won't come up for it if he keeps beating everybody. Now, early on, I was like, I'm sorry.
Here, perfect example. I got a local kid here. There's a fight show in town this Saturday. They're looking for a 6-round kid to fight a 4-0 guy, and I got a kid here that's like 5-3, and offered him like $6,000 for a 6-round fight, and he wouldn't take the fight.
Which
and
one?
I think to
The
myself,
4-0 or the 5-3?
The 5-3 guy wouldn't take the fight for 6 G's. The kid's got no money, got nothing, and it's like, what do you spend all this time in the gym for? Like,
Right.
these are guys that are time wasters.
Right.
I told the trainer, throw this guy that he's wasting time. Like, if he's not going to take a fight like this, because in our world, 6G is a lot of money for that kind of fight.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, no, you get, a lot of guys get paid $100 a round. So Bobby knows. That's the old thing. A lot of guys, like in LA, they do that. That's $600 for a 6-round fight. He's getting paid $6,000.
That's $1,000 a round.
Yeah.
Man, you ain't getting that nowhere else.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
ain't
Bob.
Wow, you're good. You're good at math.
I am. I have two questions for you. You ready?
Go ahead.
All right. First question is there still a market out there? Do people show up for these boxing shows, especially in Chicago? Is it a good fight town
I'd rather be in Podunk, Idaho.
than Chicago?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Chicago has such a multitude of entertainment opportunities that boxing is the redheaded stepchild. I mean, it's the Andy Dalton of the sports world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Will that
I'd rather
change? Do you think?
I'd rather be. No, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Not better. I'd rather be in a town where there's nothing going on at all.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Here's my next question. We have we've had a lot of fighters on this program, and a lot of times Ray will say, "You just need a shot. You need someone to believe in you. You just need a shot." Is that come down to the promoter? Does it come down to the manager? Why are there people out there you think that just aren't getting their shot?
Man, I absolutely. And sometimes you're too good for your own good, where guys don't want to fight you. So then it's my job to take my guy and get him a minor title, work him through the rankings, where you're forced to have to fight him, because a lot of guys aren't going to just say, "Oh yeah, let me have him." I have a couple guys that are in that situation. I got a guy, Vitaly Kopalenko, who's 28-2 now, and we just fought a kid from Canada who was highly regarded, world rated, to Stephen Butler, and we beat the living dog crap out of him, dropped him and everything, and we lost a split decision in Vegas. And it's like, here's a kid now that, I can't get him arrested because nobody wants to fight him because that's how good he is.
Right.
I have a few guys. I got a kid, Danny Williams from St. Louis, a lightweight kid who's 23 and 3, and can't get him a fight.
Danny Williams from the lightweight, right? What, junior welterweight?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came to Youngstown and trained in Youngstown with a guy here for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And he was living in Youngstown. But my brother's he's a Stone Street brother, man. Stone Street brother.
Yep.
And that's okay. I mean, that's not no knock on him, but he was just, knocking people out in the streets.
He just got done being a guest of the state. I guess you would call it.
Oh, okay. He went away and he went to college and got that knowledge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's back.
But
Because he could punch like a son of a gun.
Right. That's when that Jack was training him, right?
Right.
And that's when me and Jack kind of got into it, because they were fighting Hank Lundy, and they were like, the two camps were exchanging words. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Nobody got sucker punched, though. You know what I mean?
Hey,
the other day.
Take me back to the Foreman fight when you had to meet the guy at Midway the next day.
Yeah.
Tell me what was going through your mind, and especially when you got into the ring and you saw him up close.
Nothing. I was going to.
You're good with it?
To me, I hit literally the newscaster was there, and he said, "Bobby, you're taking this fight on short notice. What do you think?" I go, "Hey, listen." I pointed at some guy. I go, "If this guy wanted to fight me," and the guy looks at me. I go, "What am I going to say? No, I didn't train for you. I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight.
Right.
I'm going to fight. That's what I'm going to do." But see, back then, I wish I had somebody that would have told me no.
Right.
This isn't right for you.
Right.
You're not ready.
Right.
The opportunity to come again.
Right.
But see,
you have nobody guiding you. You'd have nobody guiding
right.
you.
The nice thing about it is I got paid pretty well. I mean, that fight was in 1988.
Right.
And I just spent the last of the money like 2 weeks ago, so it wasn't bad.
Right.
But looking back, I would have fought for free if I had the chance to be like tip top, ready to go. Two things though, I got knocked down, and I had him worried in the fight for a while. He thought he killed me. So, but no. If you look at the fight was stopped way prematurely. But I got knocked down, and I got up, and I literally had just left a nightclub like 4 days earlier with some hot chick dancing all night. And, you know what I mean? Like, not thinking about fighting. Not thinking about fighting.
Right.
You know, where and I love these two fellas, but I have to put it out there. Jerry Cooney, who I love to death, and Michael Moore both had months, 6 months, 8 months to get ready to fight George, and they didn't get up. I was on my feet going, why the fuck you stopping the fight? So that just goes to but say, if you think about that, you put it in perspective, if I had a chance to be ready, my whole career was all about, and George told me, he said, Bobby, you got to plan your work and work your plan. He said, you're a tough kid. You could become a great fighter. You could become a top contender. You might be able to become world champion if you keep working. I think my problem was my psyche. After that fight, it was so like disheartening that A, I felt like I got kind of sold out. B, I was embarrassed by my performance because I know I could do better. You know, just a lot of things, you know. And I never put things in perspective from my career. There was a great heavyweight champion from my time, Pinklin Thomas, one of the greatest jabs ever. And Pink came and started training me after a while, and I'd spar hundreds of rounds with him, and I would do pretty well. Only I didn't use that to bolster my ego, because I didn't really realize he was only like a year removed from the heavyweight championship of the world, and here I am hanging with him. It didn't resonate with me until like 4 days ago when I really thought about it, you know. And it's like, you know, but when they say youth is wasted on the young, yes, it definitely is, because I got to become very heady. I was very, like, you know, questioning everything. I wasn't free flowing. You know, and I think that has to do with my lack of ring education, my lack of preparedness in these couple opportunities that I had. I mean, I had another fight where we go to take this fight, and I'm with my manager, with Jackie, and the night before the fight, we go out and have dinner with the guy. Okay, some guy, real nice fellow, we have dinner. The next time I get in the ring, I'm loosening up, I turn around, that guy was the referee. And I'm like, oh, fuck. because I'm such a gentleman, I knew this was going to be a rough and tumble fight. And I didn't want to get, like, I started thinking too much where this guy's holding me, and I didn't want to, like, body slam him and cement my way in the ring. It was a really dirty, ugly fight because I don't want this guy to think, what is this punk thing just because we had dinner the night before? He could do whatever he wants to do in the ring. And that adversely affected me, which I don't know if I'm crazy for thinking that way, but that's the way I was raised, to, like, be a gentleman, be respectful. And in that ring, you can't be that way.
No.
You got to be an animal.
Yes, right.
So I ended up I broke my ankle in the ring. I broke my ankle. They ended up making the fight a no contest. But now I'm in a cast for 28 weeks. And then I'm out of the cast for 7 days, and I'm in a WBO title heavyweight eliminator 7 days later after being in a cast for 28 weeks. I mean, what chance do I have to win those fights?
How's that work? How you can't do road work? How are you supposed to be in shape?
Right. But see, that's the whole thing. But because I had balls, I never said no. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like you had trouble
Bobby,
saying
you have
no.
more balls than brains, my brother. More balls than brains.
Yeah, except for his brains got in the way sometimes.
Easy.
Right. So looking back in hindsight, that's where good direction, you know what I mean? Just,
that's right.
You know, having the right elements all line up together. And listen, and it's ultimately my fault because I could have just said no.
Right.
I didn't say no. No one put a gun to my head. No one said you have
because
to
your ego got involved. Your ego said no. I said, yeah, I got to say yes to everything.
And the paychecks, right?
Yeah, but you know what? You get bigger paycheck down the road if you keep winning.
Know, and to me, I think that harkens back to only having 3 amateur fights, not having experience, and every day was a brand new day for me.
Sure.
And so, so to me, my career was do not try this at home. Because, and that's why I got involved in the business aspect, because I don't think I've ever put a fighter in a fight that he didn't have the chance to win. I don't think I've ever done that in my whole career.
Well, that's great. Now, no, and I don't think you have, because I'll tell you, I've seen the fights. Like I said, you always got evenly matched fights, and that's all you want out of a promoter.
Do you think that your fighting career, seeing how things have changed in the fighting industry, and it's a totally different era now, and people act completely different, do you think your fighting career helps the way you promote or kind of messes up the way you promote because these guys just tick people off? Do you know what I'm saying?
You know, the one element of boxing that hasn't changed is all you need to have is a gold watch and a pinky ring, and you're a manager. You know, there isn't a protocol to be a business person in this business, and I think there should be, because you should have business experience, and no different. I couldn't just go and be a neurosurgeon, could I? No, I couldn't. I couldn't go and just be a policeman. I couldn't go and be a truck driver. Why could anybody just become a boxing manager? Anybody.
Well, you could become a TV personality. Mike did.
Yeah, I did that.
So you could do that.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
You already are. He's on Fox, for God's sakes.
I had to throw it in there. No, but
It's
you're right,
fine.
Bobby. Your experience is everything as far as
But they don't care. Nobody seems to care.
No,
And that's what I'm getting at.
too many managers throw the guys to the dogs. They put against all the iron. They put you in against all the iron. But there's Bobby, I'd say this, and I don't know if you agree with me, but there's very few trainers nowadays. Very few trainers. A lot of towel wavers.
Oh,
when I see a trainer waving the towel walking in, I said that's not good. That's not.
Here's the best I like is the sunglass inside wearer.
Oh my God! Drives me friggin' nuts. There's no sun inside, brother. They do that shit, and it drives me friggin' nuts.
And those kind of cats, the only gloves they ever had on were to keep their hands warm in the winter.
That's right.
So it's like,
oh my God.
Like, they want to be over there mean mugging and everything, and I just love these guys. I mean, there's a kid. He's like 20-something years old. Now my fighter just fought in Vegas. Fought his fighter. It was a great fight. They both ended up in the hospital together. For precautionary stuff, whatever. Well, doesn't this young upstart manager slide in and steal this kid from me? And it's like, so I get him on the phone. He's like, well, I'm this, I'm that. I go, listen, you're 24 years old. I said, you have no experience. I said, the first experience you should learn is how to be respectful of people.
That's right.
You knew that kid. You knew that kid was with me. Who do you think brought him there? How do you think he got there? Well, he said, I don't care what he said.
Right.
You have to be smarter. I go, so all of a sudden, don't play fucking Helen Keller right now like you don't know what the hell's going on. You know exactly what you were doing. And guess what, Pally? One day I'm going to see you. That might not be a good day for you. Oh, what do you mean by that? Take it any way you want to take it, pal. Because these guys think they can just come and just steal from you and take from you. I go, listen, I baked the cake. I don't need you to put the frosting on it.
Right.
You serve us no purpose at all.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
So now they put the kid into a fight. And I love the kid. And the kid understands what he did. And but now I'm going to see what happens. And at this point, that's why I just don't care anymore.
Right.
Because whatever's going to be is going to be. Que sera, sera.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Doesn't matter.
The loyalty game's out. I mean, there's very few loyalty in
Don't
fighters.
these people know that Bobby Hitz was kicking second graders' ass and beating up his sister when he was little, and he hasn't stopped since? Don't they get it?
But
No, but I'll be honest with you, Ray. I am blessed. So I do have a couple guys that are under my tutelage that we literally have no contract, and we have the best relationship.
Yeah.
And these guys are into their 20-some-odd fights together.
You know
so
what?
it does exist.
Right.
It does exist with the right guy.
Because my father taught me that if your word ain't for shit, you ain't for shit. Simple
Right.
as that. If your word is all you need. If you're with me, you're with me. I go, come on, man. I'm going home with who I came to the dance with. So,
right.
Well,
So yeah, so it's cool to me.
Well, I guess
if I find that one guy, that's all I care about.
Well,
Fine. It's cool.
Bobby, I have to confess, I didn't always go home with the people first that I came to the dance with. I sometimes went home with somebody else. But you know what I meant. You know what I meant.
As long as you get to the
You
dance.
know what I meant.
That's the main thing.
But all right, now let's cut to that. Bobby, how did you get into the restaurant and nightclub business?
And do you like it better than boxing?
I mean, I don't know what I like anymore, to be honest with you.
You seem so jaded, Bobby. Come on.
It's just one of those days. It's just one of those, it is because of literally, I want to move out to a farm where I don't have to see anybody. I want to have horses, and and my girlfriend's like, well, you'll be moving out there by yourself. I mean, you won't come with me? No, I'm not going out to a farm.
Hey,
They
use horses for therapy, and that's a fact. I mean, that's not.
Well,
no,
they
that's
don't
true.
talk back.
They use horses for therapy, for mental illness and stuff like that, because for a reason.
Not that you need that.
No,
Not
no,
that
no,
you
no,
have
no,
a mental illness.
But I'm saying
or
for a
anything.
reason. They're calming. It's a calming effect. They have.
Yeah, it is.
There's a thing, of course. That's a true thing. So if you need to have a horse, I get it. My wife says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I got one kid that I was handling. The kid's 10-0. He's 10-0, and he said I wrecked his career. How'd I wreck your career? You're 10-0. Are you kidding me?
Oh my
like,
God.
It's just like it's just that kind of stuff that drives you away. So that's the restaurant business is something I've always been around. When I was a kid, I was in 6th grade, and I worked in a shot and a beer joint, and I ran the kitchen in this place. And I ran it from 6th grade till sophomore year in high school. I got paid $1 an hour in cash, and it was big money back then. And I ran the kitchen. I would cook, clean, try to do my homework. I'd stock the bar coolers. I'd be hanging in the bar with I'm in 6th grade. There's women that are, 25, and I'm like hitting on them. It was the greatest time of my life. I swear to God, I felt like a mini Colodro.
Hey, that's it, Bobby. That's acting class right there. That's acting
how you
class.
learn.
You ain't got to go like that. That's a real life experience, man. You can't.
Right.
And ain't no acting class going to teach you about that. Nothing. You have to live that. You
So
have
how
to,
many,
Right.
how
So
many restaurants? How many clubs?
Well, right now I just have the one. I've had multiple over the years.
What is it?
I had a great. It's called Giglio's State Street Tavern.
Okay.
It's in the South Loop in Chicago on State Street,
State
this
Street,
is my
right place.
this is my newest endeavor. I've been open about 9 weeks now,
Are you the owner?
and yes, I'm the owner.
Oh, that's
yes.
wonderful.
My Bobby don't. Bobby don't know. I told you,
All right,
Bobby.
how about I
he
thought he was
ain't no
going to say
piker. This guy's the
me
real deal.
and some other guys, or maybe I'm a co-owner.
Well, maybe he has some backers.
Okay.
Maybe. He's
No,
really-
I
all
did this
you?
all by myself.
Oh.
There you
Alright.
go. Yeah, better. Yeah. Because sometimes you have too many people hands in the kitchen. Too many hands in the
Well,
kitchen.
Yeah.
Can't be.
Spoils
Can't,
Right,
Can't-
well, I've been in some deals with guys, and I had a great mentor, Alex Dana, who owns a chain of restaurants here called Rosebud, which are world renowned, and
Very
I've been around him
excellent.
since I'm 17 years old. So I had a great mentor in the business, and I was around him for a long time, and him and I had stuff together, and this is the first time I said I'm going to go out on my own and claim, stake my claim, and so that's what I'm doing now. He actually was just trying to call me. He calls me every day, checks in, how you doing, how's things going,
But-
you need anything,
But
so, I'm
Bobby,
blessed.
Bobby, let me ask you something now. Let me just talk about that. This is my own curiosity. What does better in Chicago? What does better, the chains, the mom and pop places, or the niche restaurants, that classic elegance? You got a little, you want something different. You go there. You get the white carpet, the red carpet experience. Fine dining.
Yeah, what do people
like?
like these
Youngstown, man, we have a couple of but fine dining is not the number one thing. These chains, man, are all sold out. Every time you go down, every chain
Oh, you
got
can't
people.
get in the Outback.
I don't
Yeah,
get it. I don't get it, man. The chains, man. Jesus, man. There's about 3 or 4 restaurants I bounce into. Me and my wife frequent. You got to patronize the people, but I like the experience. I want the dining experience when I go in. You feel like you know people, everybody you know the food's gonna be good, but it's the experience, the dining experience. They come, Ray, what kind of wine? You do the wine. You maybe do a few different taste, little 3 or 4 different entrees or appetizers to taste, to do a bit of tasting. But I like that type of stuff. But you go to these chains, they're sold out everywhere. What is it like in Chicago? I mean,
we have the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, well,
you have
that's
the
it,
chain,
son.
you have the chain joints that do real well because there was a lot of tourists here.
yeah.
So a lot of tourists like to go to, the chainy places, things that they recognize.
Right.
Then you get that second tier people who might have seen something on the Food Network or Guy Fieri or something like that. So you have those people. Then you have the people that frequent the neighborhood joints, the local joints, and to me, when I go somewhere, I want to eat where the locals eat. I don't want to go
of course.
to these changes. Like when I go to Vegas, I go to the Italian American Club.
Right.
And to me, that's where all the locals eat.
Right.
It's a great joint. The food is tremendous.
I actually been there.
You know,
yeah. I've been there.
Right. I mean, listen, you can go to a Morton's anywhere. You can go to a Ruth Chris anywhere. You can go to a Outback Steakhouse anywhere. To me, I want to go somewhere where I can't get that anywhere else but there. You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying?
That's right.
And I think what Ray's trying to say is, will you hook him up when he comes because he doesn't like to pay for
man,
stuff.
I don't know. Bobby's right on. Bobby brings me in.
I just want to make sure.
I've been to Bobby's joints, and it's first class.
Oh, okay.
He treats me like a champ.
Ray's always in. Not a problem. There's always a seat for him. Not a problem.
All right, just
Hey,
check.
Bob, you know what? Talking about that. What's the other joint? Oh, Gibson's. That's the Gibson's Steakhouse.
Yeah.
That's us. Yeah.
What's your specialty over there, Bobby?
We do Italian food. I mean, everything is good from our galamad to the meatballs to our meatballs are tremendous. Our red sauce is good. The parms are good.
Is it a club
I mean,
too, or is it just a restaurant?
No, it's
bar?
a restaurant bar. I
Okay.
mean, I have a nice big bar, like a 30-stool bar.
Mhm.
I have like 22 TVs. I have high tops, booths, banquettes. We got a little something. I got a nice big window that opens up to the street. So it's a nice feeling room. The room has a nice feel to it.
Most important.
It's comfortable. It's not intimidating. It's a come as you are kind of place. People are like, wow, it's really nice. Nah, I wanted to just create a local neighborhood place where you could literally come every day and eat and not get hurt.
Right, exactly. You know, Bobby, I like to dress. My wife will sometimes even say, she goes, "Why are you all dressed up?" I said, "Because I have the clothes. Why not use them?" I like dressing.
Right.
I like dressing up when we go out. Even if it's just jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah, but doesn't she know you're Ray Boom Boom?
Apparently-
Come on,
She couldn't give two shits.
You know what
Bobby.
I've said? I've said this. Here's what I have said. No, I said, well, even if I'm gonna put a jeans and a t-shirt, throw a jacket on it dresses it up a bit, right? But one thing I said,
Absolutely.
I've learned this years ago. I always remembered that Ann, what was her? Not Ann Sheridan, who was a great Broadway star, was once asked, and I was living in New York at the time, and they asked her. They said, "Miss Sheridan, every time you go out, your hair's coiffed so elegantly, your clothes are so elegantly tailored," and they go, "Do you always go out like that?" She said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, why?" She said, "Because when I go out, people expect to meet a star, and I want to make sure that they do." And I'm not saying that. And when I go out, I said, I want to dress away, even if it's just casual. But if you go, you got to have certain flavor to it. Because if people meet me, they may think they want to meet. They think they're expected to meet the champ. So I want to make sure.
Well,
they do.
and it's true. And you know what's even fun.
Sounds
realize that.
sounds presumptuous, but I don't mean it to be that way. But you know what I'm saying.
No, but everybody knows you. Nobody doesn't know Boom Boom Mancini.
Yeah.
I don't care how old they are, if they're 20, 40, 68. Everybody, who doesn't know Boom Boom Mancini?
Well,
I'm
obviously the guy at the local Starbucks, because I can't get a cup of coffee I can't get a cup of coffee. It keeps me waiting, man.
Those guys.
Just give me a cup of coffee. Is all I
The
want.
first time somebody at Starbucks behind that counter.
You just said Starbucks, so I mean, guess who's working there? Not our kind of guy.
Yeah, the next time a guy at Starbucks wants to talk sports,
I love Buc-ee's, though.
will be
I do
the
love-
first time somebody at Starbucks wants to talk sports.
Hey, Bobby, as my kids say, now the kids put a flavor to it. Starbeezies.
Oh,
I
is
go
that
to
what they say?
Starbeezies. Starbeezies. Oh, but I do. No. People say, I don't. They're coffee. I said, bullshit. They got the best coffee in the world. Don't let nobody kid you.
Wow.
I like Ely. I like the Nessie, Lavazza. But for espresso, Starbeezies espresso is the best for me. That's it. Period.
There
End
you
of story.
go.
The comedian Jackie Mason, who was a huge boxing fan, huge fan of yours, Ray. Actually, I spent a lot of time with him, and he said Starbucks is the biggest scam going. He goes, think about this. You got to go there. You pay $7 for a cup of coffee. You clean up after yourself. You throw your own garbage out. What a racket that is. And they're paying $7 for a cup of coffee.
They're smart.
He goes, then if you're in a hotel, all of a sudden you put on the elevator, go to the cell, it becomes a latte now.
Oh,
he had this whole bit going about Starbucks coffee.
Yeah,
It's great.
that's funny.
That's
funny.
awesome.
But now, Bobby, like from the restaurant. I mean, you went from fighting to promoting to the restaurant business. I mean, you are really. I admire you. You're a man of many talents. You handle, but more important, to be able to do that, you got to be a people person, which you definitely are. And people don't understand that. You know, it's hard, especially like in Youngstown. It's tough, but in Chicago, I know it's not a whole lot easier to be able to run in places and get the right people who want to work, because it's hard to find people who want to work anymore. Am I wrong?
Especially in the restaurants.
Yeah, you know,
because they'll just go to the next restaurant, right?
Everybody wants guaranteed wages. Nobody wants to work like yes, people like certain businesses to work on commission. Oh hell no! I got to get Why wouldn't, if you believe enough in yourself? I'd love to work for a commission. I feel like I can sell ice cream to an Eskimo. I believe that. So let me work for that. Let me do that.
You got the DoorDash going? You got the Grubhub over there?
Yeah, we have a few of those things we're working. Like I said, we've only been open about 9 weeks. Oh, look at her. She's beautiful. Look at this girl. Anyways,
but do you have to...
Wait. Hold on.
I wish we Skyped this.
Hey, Bobby.
No, take your time, Bob.
Bobby,
you talk to her and
go
not
give
us.
her your card. Say, hey, come to my new joint.
No, I can't do that. Just, you admire beautiful things.
Yes, of course.
Anyways.
I agree with you.
Yeah, we'll wait. Go ahead.
No, I'm cool. Anyways, what was the question?
I said,
You
do you have
gotta be on
do you have
all the time.
Grubhub there, or like the
Yeah.
places
Anyways,
that deliver?
I was kidding. I was joking.
Yes, we're working with those, and it's amazing to me is how many people choose that method of dining.
That's the millennium thing. They do everything on their phone.
The whole world has changed, and like my nanny used to say, "I'm not from this world." Now I get what she was saying, because I don't get it either, man. I just don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it. But what was cool is the Giulio sisters on my mother's side, my nanny and her sisters. There were 5 sisters, and all our pets except my Aunt Marie, who's 98 years old, who was just in the restaurant like a couple weeks ago, and she's 50 years old, and it's just, to me, I just sat back and looked at I wonder what she thinks about all this technology, and here's a 98-year-old woman, and it's how much she has seen in her life,
right?
And how you have to adapt. So when you're mentioning all these mechanisms, social media and Grubhubs, and it's you have to constantly be educating yourself to keep up with the latest trends and curves. And what I'm trying to do is keep my place and keep the deal old school. I'm trying to really keep it simple, and I'm having a hard time keeping it simple because life isn't simple. Society isn't simple.
No.
And people aren't simple. So now I have to change kind of my outlook of trying to keep it simple, because if you keep it simple, you can't make any mistakes, really. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But everybody wants all these add-ons. So now you have to go and grow and add things, and that's part of being an entrepreneur. Is you have to constantly be changing with the times, and it gets very tedious and very
at times. You
have to be on top of stuff constantly.
Do you think this industry will be the last industry you get in, or do you think there's something else down the road maybe that you'd still like to do?
I'll be honest with you. My whole life has kind of been played on the fly. I never had a plan. I never knew what I wanted to do, and my life just kind of happened. But I can go back to when I was a young kid, 2nd, 3rd grade, and saying, I want to be this, I want to do that, I want to be in the newspaper, I want to be famous, I want to do all this. And I've pretty much, I've achieved everything that I set myself up to do. I really have. If I looked at my life and I wrote it down, if I was in the movie Thief, where he had the picture with all these things, cars, boats, money, women, success, all, and once he achieved all that, James Caan played the thief, and it was a great movie if you haven't seen it. And once he achieved all that, there was nothing left for him. He threw it out the window, and that was it, because that represented his achievement. Now what's left in life? Now he had to go balls out and go after the boss. So you got to watch the movie. But to me, if I look at my life, I've literally, here, look at. I used to watch TV and see Ray competing in the ring, and years later we become very good friends. It's like, it's just strange how life works. Like, here's a man I used to revere, love Boom Boom Mancini. That was my guy. When he fought, I'm cheering for him, and now we're friends.
Yeah, it's a great.
And
thing.
that's happened in many aspects of my life, whether it's Frank Stallone, Sly's brother, or Ray Leonard or Tommy Hearns or any of these guys. It's like, William Forsythe, Michael Madsen. It's like, it's just strange how I think when you visualize things, and I really believe it can happen.
Oh no, positive mental visualization is a real thing.
Yeah, I guess that's my life.
You've met so many famous people, so many like idols of yours. Was there one that kind of took you by surprise, or one that you were like, "Holy crap, I'm really talking to this guy or girl"?
A couple of them. I was in a restaurant one day, and the maitre d' came over to me and said, "Sir, this man would like to talk to you." And it was our Mayor Daley of Chicago. Wow. And he's like, "Bobby Hitz, Mayor Daley, pleasure to meet you, and I've seen a lot about you, and I like the job you're doing." I mean, to me, that I call my mom. Can you believe Mayor Daley recognized me, or our former governor Rob Blagojevich, when he was at one of my fights, and someone said, "Bobby, this is Governor Blagojevich," and he goes, "Stop." He goes, "I know," but he goes, "Bobby, you're a legend." I mean, it's like, right, or whether it was meeting our current president way back in 1989, Donald Trump at the Trump Castle, having dinner with him, with Frank Stallone and Jackie, and I've met a lot of really cool people. I got to say, probably the most two memorable experiences, and both for different reasons. One was in a nightclub here in Chicago called Faces, which was our Studio 54.
Good joint.
Okay?
That was a great joint.
Right. It was our Studio 54. And I was maybe 3 or 4 fights into my pro career. And in there was Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And I approached him, introduced myself.
Marvin was a
he
great
couldn't
man.
have been No, he couldn't have been he couldn't have been a bigger jerk off than he was.
Oh no,
He was the biggest ass I ever met in my life. I swear to God. So ignorant and rude, and like, "Kid, I got no time for you. I'm with this girl." I'm like, "Hey, dickhead, I got 5 girls with me. What do you want to like?" Like, to me, that was his chance to forever implant his legacy in my mind as a fighter, and he blew it. Now you switch to the other side. By far, outside of Ray, the classiest guy I ever encountered in all of boxing, Alexis Arguello.
Oh, by far.
What?
Yeah.
Man, I got to tell you,
what a gentleman.
we're at a function here in Chicago, and it was a pre-fight thing. He was there with Fredo Benitez, Fredo Gomez. A lot of these great Hispanic fighters were there.
Right.
And I happened to be fighting on this show. And Alexis spent about 45 minutes at this party talking to me. I remember he had a tuxedo on, he had a fedora on. Cool cat.
It was great, man.
And and then like 25 minutes later, he's walking through the party after we talked. He said, "Hey, Bobby, you having a good time?" Yeah. He remembered me, and that memory has lasted with me, and I've revered this. Like, just what a class guy. And I got to share that story with Alexis Jr. at the Boxing Writers Dinner a couple years back. And his son had like tears. I go, I mean, and we both had tears in our eyes when I'm telling the story, because it was just so indicative of that man's legacy.
Yeah, he was. He was wonderful, man. He was just a wonderful guy.
God, it's like, and as fighters, we are special people. Whether you're a club fighter,
it's a fraternity,
or a multi.
It's a fraternity. It's a fraternity.
Right. And you need to respect each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Ray, I can never imagine you blowing off any young fighter that wants a piece of your wisdom.
No.
When Marvin Hagler did that to me, I hated him. I hated him.
I'm surprised he did that.
Just like in Bronxville when whoever made the Mick cry, he made the Mick cry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it was just such a jerky moment. Here's a guy that's a world champion. You have a chance to be like, and I saw Mike Tyson do this. We were in Vegas, and it was my manager, myself, Mike, and someone we're talking. A 5-year-old girl walked up to ask for his autograph, and he told her no. I was like, my God, I can't even believe that. Like,
Bobby, I'm sorry to hear that because you know what I always tell people? I said, it ain't hard to be a good guy. It ain't hard to grab somebody, just sign. It takes 10 seconds. Shake somebody's hand, take a picture real fast. Even if you're in a hurry, you got to work hard to be a jerk off. Really, you really got to work hard to be a jerk off.
Who was more renowned than Muhammad Ali?
Right.
And that man would take time for everybody. And
That's
I literally,
right.
in his last years of his life, I was around him
Right.
on an
Right.
occasion. I took him for dinner with his wife,
Right.
and with his sister-in-law, my friend. We went for dinner.
And his daughter,
and he was
daughter lives.
Right.
She's
yeah, right. She's married to Kid Pickle Joyce. Yeah, right, exactly.
Wow.
And her other daughter's married to Bobby Walsh, a great chef.
Right.
And it's like Muhammad, even in his state that he was in, he still would take a picture. He still would, like, you know what I mean? Like, it costs nothing to be nice, and that's the whole point with these young fighters today. Guys, you gotta take time to build your public. They make you who you are, man.
Oh, that's for
And
sure. Bobby, I always said fame is like elected office. Same people put you in can take you out real quick.
Right. Right.
And we're gonna wrap this up, but I'm real fast. I'm gonna tell the last stories. Before you just said about fighters, I say this story all the time. This is true. This was back 1985, 86. I'm in Las Vegas for it's a promotion there. One of the fights speaking on. I think it might have been Tommy Hearns was fighting. Might have been when he was fighting Rodan, and so I have a big promotion and they have fighters, and I'm sitting there, and so people will come. So now I'm in line to get to get some food. Standing right in front of me is Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray. Now he was by himself. He was by himself. His wife, a girl, and they walked away for a second. The greatest fighter of all time, by all indications, by most people's, most expert, right? Guy came over to me, said, "Boom, boom, boom. Could I take your picture, please? Oh, boom! I'm such a fight fan. He said, I'm such a fan. He went down my whole career, flattered the hell out of me. He said, I know I'm the biggest fight fan. I know every fighter there is. He takes the picture and he walks away. And I said, I'll be damned. There's Sugar Ray Robinson, the greatest fighter ever sat in front of me, and they didn't even take a second look. What do you think what's going to happen to me eventually? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm ready for it, but I'm prepared. My son always tells me, he always says, Pop, you always tell that story about Sugar Ray Robinson. And he says, because he said to me, my son was with me last week when I was in Vegas for the pay-per-view fight with Spence Porter. And we were sitting around and a lot of people come. And he said, Pop, he said, it might be starting already. Because them people, a lot of these young people that are big fight fans, they went right by you. They weren't going to Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. They just went right by you. I said, Leonardo, it's a different generation. It's a different generation now. He says, but you always talked about how they did that to you and they forgot Ray Robinson and they came to you. And I said, yeah, that's the greatest fighter of all time. And they came to me like I'm something special. And I said to him, eventually it's going to happen to me. And he said, well, I think it's happening already. I said, well, it's going to happen, so why not? No, but what I'm saying is,
you are special,
no,
buddy.
but Bobby, that's the nature of the beast. And that's why I always said I appreciate it. Never take it for granted. I always appreciate the fans, the people, but eventually one day, one day they're going to just say, forget that guy. And that's,
Fame is a fleeting thing, man.
Oh,
Fame
you
is
ain't
a
lying,
fleeting
man.
thing.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Bobby, my brother, I can't thank you enough for your time. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I can't thank you enough for being our guest. You're such a good guy. You have so many good stories. We got to get you back, man. Talk more about.
We need you to come to town, Bobby. We need you to come to Youngstown one time.
Bobby's.
I would love to.
I would. He would.
Yeah, we may be looking for a character actor. We might be.
Yes, we will.
You never know. I know a director-producer type.
Bobby is a character, and he is an actor.
There you go.
Fast character. But you ain't getting no bigger character than Bobby Hitz. But Bobby works
right.
You should see the knockout girls he goes with.
Is that right?
Man, he got some knockout girls.
No, please come. Please come to Youngstown.
Yeah. Bobby. Whatever happened to my friend Rocky? You ever see my friend Rocky around?
No, not in quite some time. I haven't seen him. He had his buddy Joe. Yeah, I haven't seen him. No. Actually, I ran into Joe. No, I did. Joe was hosting a Christmas something that he does every year, and I went and helped pass out gifts to the underprivileged kids on. So Joe does a great job. with
Well,
all that
you're
stuff, so.
the best guy for doing that.
Yeah.
Bobby, thank you.
Bobby, Can't thank you enough, my
No,
brother.
thank
Can't
you.
thank you enough.
Hey, and I want to thank our guy, Bad Brad Burquette.
Oh, Bad Brad Burquette, man.
Yeah,
Bad Brad. Forget. No, I won't say that. I will not say. You didn't get me to say that shit. Bad Brad. Thank you, Bad Brad. Bad Brad Burquette. Yeah.
He has a great show himself, but I'm glad someone came up with this idea. I enjoyed my time, and I thank you, and hope to see you soon down the road.
Oh, hey, are you going to be at the next dinner, which is next month?
Yeah.
Not for sure.
I'm sure I'll be there.
A good friend, George, God rest his soul.
Yeah, God,
that's heartbreaking.
You know,
I couldn't make it in. I couldn't make it in. I had a fight that night, that week.
and I don't know how it'll ever be the same without his energy and his. George
Passion.
was definitely one of the first Fuller Brush salesmen because he did not take no for an answer.
No,
and he made it.
No,
he made it happen.
Oh, for sure.
know?
He created
Yeah.
that. It was his baby from the start to finish. Man.
Yep. God rest his soul.
I'll see you next month then. I'll see you.
All right, champ. I'll see you down the road.
All right, Bobby. Thank you, buddy. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Well, that's my man, Bobby Hitz, and
That dude.
good dude.
Can I cuss for 1 second?
Yeah, why not?
That was a fucking interview.
Oh,
That guy knows how to do an interview.
yeah, he does.
Anecdotes,
Yes.
stories,
What-
personal things.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And
It's
Bobby,
fantastic.
good. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Mike.
That's how it's
and
supposed
we gotta
to be.
give Bobby's a class 1 guy. Believe me one thing, class 1 guy. Anybody out there knows, and I'm telling you, one of the best promoters in the country. Yeah, but he builds young kids up. He builds young guys up.
He knows how to do it.
He knows how to do it.
From top to bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed another round of Ray's Boom Boom Room.
Thanks again to Sunrise.
Yes, Sunrise, absolutely. Sunrise Pizza, Sunrise Restaurant. Sunrise, what else we got? Sunrise
Inn.
Sunrise Inn.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Downtown.
And
Sunrise
Sunrise
Entertainment.
Entertainment.
Oh, there's just Sunrise everything.
There is.
It's a news day.
Every day the
Sunrise.
sun comes up.
That's it. But here, thank you for your sponsorship and your belief in the show. I want to thank our guests here at Avalon.
Yep.
Our
Thank you
Avalon.
for
Aren't they?
accommodations.
Accommodations. They set us here. Last us do the show from the Avalon. Hey, look, anybody wants to be a sponsor for the show, don't be bashful out
No,
there.
we'll take the money.
We'll give you your props.
Yeah, and
that's the most important thing, man.
Yeah.
We'll sell you.
To give and take.
We'll sell you to the public here, man. We'll make
right.
you like you're the best, greatest thing happening, which I'm sure you are. Anybody's interested, get in touch with our people on the internet, or somehow get in touch, or with Ray's Boom Boom Room and our website, our webpage, and see.
We'd be flattered.
Yeah, we'd be honored and flattered, and it's great. And we'll just sell you till you're sick of hearing yourself. All right, Mike. I don't know, man.
Thank you. What do you got this week? You got anything? Fights are off for a little while.
Fights are out. We're off this month because of the playoffs, the World Series coming up, college football, pro football. So next fight will be the first weekend of November.
Okay.
And
looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Me too. November 2nd is the next fight. Yes.
Okay.
And again, if you're looking for a quick bite to eat, check out. You're in Canfield area. Dave's Cosmic Subs on 422. 224.
There you go.
224. I can't get a free sub there myself, and I promote the shit
that
out of
right?
it. I can't get a cup of coffee. I can't get a Starbeezies. I talk about Starbeezies.
So you got to hang with me more.
So
That's
anyhow,
the one thing
Dave's
I'm good
if you're out there in Canfield in 224 here, suburb of Youngstown, off of Route 11, right across the street from Route 11, Dave's Cosmic Subs. And what else? That's it. Anybody else?
We're not going to top that.
No, can't do that. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around. If you like the show, please tell your friends. We'd like to hear your thoughts. Until next time. Take care. Next time, same time next week. Take care. Until next time, take care of each other. Love each other. Good night and God bless.